now that you've identified the scenarios that you're going to work with, and you've narrowed down the ones that you think are the most important to you, how do you include them in your planning? So again, I'm going to give you a really practical way of doing this, especially for the scenarios that you're not exactly sure what they're going to look like, because we've done the scan and we've narrowed it down. So now we want to create a plan for it. Okay, but some of the scenarios are going to happen, so you can plan for them, and some of them are still too uncertain to put into your strategic plan. Okay, I want to share with you two things that people said to me beforehand when I asked about challenges. They're two very different things, but I'm going to use them to lead into your action. So one from Sarah, she said, how can we remain forward-thinking and agile and not over-engineer? So Sarah's challenge that they're having in their organization is that there are so many things that we can do, and we don't want to go down too many false paths. I think, Sarah, that's what you're after. Catherine, on the other hand, it's kind of got the opposite issue that she's facing in her organization, where she says we've got so many things happening outside that we need to be aware of, but we work in a very slow changing, risk-averse organization. So how do we make those things happen? Okay, can you see they're almost the opposite? One is we're going too fast, the other one's we're going too slow. Now, can I make a suggestion here? And there are two ways that you can look at these scenarios. There's some that you can act on now, because you know what the scenario is going to look like. You know roughly what the scenario is going to look like. And if you don't, and this is particularly in the case where you've got a risk-averse organization, or you don't necessarily have the authority to implement the full action plan, then my suggestion is you pick a small version of it. It may even be a pilot project or a prototype that you experiment with to see what the effect is. So if you do that kind of experiment, it's going to take you closer to where you want to be, even if it may not solve it completely. Okay, so if you can, find a way to act on something now. Okay, and it'll either help you get more clarity, or you might find that it fails, and that gives you clarity as well. Okay, whether or not it succeeds or fails, experiments have an outcome, which is you know more than when you started. Again, I find my experience with working with leaders, it's quite often when they identify scenarios, many of them seem too big to take action. So the thing to do is to do a small mini project. I don't just mean get started on the whole initiative, but do a little mini project, a case study, a pilot project, a prototype. Try it out with a few customers and see what their feedback is. So get started that way, to act now.